Hello and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture, we are going to demonstrate the Cloudwatch alarms, how you can set up the Cloudwatch alarms, and the ways to the steps basically. So first thing, you need an EC2 instance, okay, and then you need to create the SNS topic, and then you need to uh, create a subscription so that whenever the alarms are triggered, you will get an notification. So the notification destinations can be email address, mobile number, and couple of more options are there. I'll show it to you, and then finally you have to create the alarm, and you have to define the SNS topic that you created in the in the step before that, and then finally you can define an action. So we will go through all of it. I will try to keep it as simple as I can. Okay, so the first thing that I need to do is to create an EC2 instance. So let me go to the EC2 portal, and as I see, I am running one instance as of now. So I'll create a new one. What you need to do is launch an instance. So I'll just quickly go through this. So this is, say, EC2 monitor, something like that, EC2 monitor. And then after that, I would have to select the AMI. So I'll go for the free tier eligible, which is Amazon Linux 2 AMI. And then after that, you have to select the instance type, which I will again keep the T2 micro, which is the free tier eligible. And then you have to select a key pair. I have a couple of key pairs created, so I'll go with the demo KP, which I have downloaded. And if you don't have that, you can create a new one, obviously, and then download it. And then you have the network settings. So I will keep this as default. I have the default VPC. I have no preference for the subnets, and make sure you have the auto assign public IP enabled. And then you can either create a new security group, or if you have an existing one, make sure you allow SSH. That is what we need. So I'll just select an existing one which has SSH. So I have this with SSH and HTTP enabled. So I'll select that. And then the storage 8 GB is absolutely fine. And then I can say launch instance. I don't need user data, so I just need the SSH. That's it, and I can click here, and this will take me to the EC2 itself. Let me just check. The state is pending, so I'll just wait for this. And how do you SSH to this device is, as you have already seen, you have multiple options. I can either connect, so I can go here and connect to the EC2 like this. So this would be through the web console, or what I can do is I can connect using the key pair, right? So how to connect using key pair? So I'll be using the PowerShell, and the way you connect is you go and copy this public IP and go here and say SSH -I, and then you define the location where you have the key, right? So I will have basically in my C, and then it should be users, and then it should be admin and downloads, and then I should have the demo, not class KP. I think it's demo KP only. Yeah. So this is then at the rate, and okay, before that I have to say EC2-user, which is the username of the AMI, Amazon AMI, and then paste the IP address of public IP address of the EC2 instance, and then hit enter. So just say yes, and you are inside the EC2 instance. Now here, what you have to do is just change myself to the super user with the sudo su command, and I'm the super user here now. Let's just run the yum update command to update the repository. Okay, that is done. Now after that, what I can do is I basically want to create an alarm which basically triggers when the CPU utilization on this machine EC2 instance would go more than 40%, say. Okay, for that we have a tool called the stress tool, and the way you install the stress tool is by typing in the command yum install stress -y. uh, but you do have a dependency because this is a new EC2 instance. So let me just show you how this works. So the command would be yum install stress -y. This would not work, yeah, because this has dependency, right? So for this to work, you have to type in the command sudo amazon linux extra, and then install should be install epel-y. So you do this command first, it will install all the dependencies, and then you go and type the stress command. This will work, and download the stress utility here, right? Now once that is done, we will just leave it here. This stress tool will be basically used for simulating EC2 metrics. Once we create the Cloudwatch alarm, we shall come back to this and trigger CPU utilization using this stress utility, right? So how do I go here? So first of all, before me doing anything, this is the one that we will be um, I mean creating the alarm for. So before that, what we can do, we can go to the Cloudwatch, and I will show you how this would show. So you can go to all the metrics, and before that I can go and copy the instance ID. Okay, copy this, click here, and now from here all the metrics I can go to the EC2 metrics and per instance metrics. So I have two instances right now. I can just paste the instance ID here, so that only those instances will be shown. So if I check the CPU utilization, click here, and it will show the utility. Now the data points are like 5 minutes, so it will take some time because we just started the EC2 instance. In the meanwhile, what I can do is I can go and create an SNS topic. So I'll create the SNS, go here. Okay, I'm in the Mumbai region, so I'll go to topics. Or from the dashboard, what I can do, Amazon SNS, I can just say let's create. So there are multiple ways. So one of the ways to create from here, so I'll say my server monitor, something like that. Okay, and say next step. Cool. And this is optional, you may or may not select this. So let's keep the standard, and then create the topic. That's it. Now after you create the topic, you can see here that the topic has been created, right? Now if you go to the topics, you will see your topic here. Now you click here, and you can create a subscription now here. Okay, the protocol should be, now this is the destination. Either you can use this for an SQS, Kinesis, Data Firehouse, and you can use for AWS Lambda, email, HTTPS, SMS. So you have all these destinations. Now I'll be using the email one. So I'll use my email. So this is the email, and then that's it. When I create the subscription, it should trigger a mail which should be received here, and I would have to confirm the subscription, and then only this will show as confirmed. So here it is showing right now as pending confirmation, right? So now let's go to my Gmail just to show you. So I am here now, and I can see that this is the notification that I was talking about, and I have received a notification just now, this one, and it says confirm subscription. I'll click here, and when I go here, it's still showing pending, right? So if I go back and then come back, and then if I go on the subscription, you can see it shows confirmed. I can click and it shows confirmed, right? So that means now we have subscribed to this SNS topic. So that is halfway there. Now next thing would be to basically go and create the alarm, right? So subscription done. Next, let's go to the Cloudwatch. So I'm here. You have seen the metric here. Now let's go, and this is the metric that we will be using. So let me just copy this again. Cool. I will go and go to the alarms. This is the in alarms which are in active, and all alarms. So we don't have any alarms as of now. Let me create an alarm. So we can create the alarm using some metrics, and same way you can use any service. You can use EBS, you can use events, logs, SNS, anything to create an alarm. In my case, we are using EC2, and again per instance metric, and I will throw the filter for the metrics of that particular EC2 instance, and I'm going to use the CPU utilization like this, and say select this metric. Now in the next page, what you can do is you can name the metric. So I'll keep the same CPU utilization, and instance ID, static should be average, and I would say I would just make it a bit faster, say 1 minute, and I will keep the conditions in here. I will keep the threshold type as static. You can have anomaly detection wherein this will be based on anomaly. Now whenever this is the condition, so you can have greater than, equal to, lower, equal to, or lower than, right? So I'll say greater than, and let's keep it to say 50%, not 40, let's 50. I mean, realistically it should be 70 or 80 depending on what the requirement is, right? So I'll say 50%, and next. Now this is when the alarm state is triggered, what you want to do. Now when it's in okay, you don't want to do anything. Maybe you want to do, it's up to you. But what we want to do right now is when it is in alarm, I would want to select an existing SNS topic, or here also you can create a new topic. I have done this beforehand, but yeah, so let's select the one that we created, my server monitor, and that says the endpoint is a email address. Now you can have actions here. Now this is if you do just this, that means when the alarm goes in the alarm state, it will trigger just an email to you that saying this EC2 instance has crossed the CPU utilization threshold of this. So that is one thing, and on top of that, what you can do is you can have an action. Now action can be these things, right? In alarm, what you want to do, you want to stop the instance, terminate the instance, or reboot this. So it's up to you. So let's just for the demo, we would say when the alarm is triggered, let's terminate this instance, right? On top of sending an email, we would like to terminate this instance as an action, right? Okay, so notification will be sent to this email using the SNS topic, and the action that was be taken is the termination of the instance, right? I'll say next, and then let's say a name, say what, alarm demo, something like this. This alarm is going to terminate the EC2 instance, some description, right? Next, and then that's done. Now create the alarm. Now it will basically wait for the data point to get a sufficient data. Like right now it's insufficient data, it will wait for the data point, which is 5 minutes. And if I go to the EC2 here, and if I go, I have selected this EC2, and I go to monitoring, and I can see the CPU. Now this is captured in like the first 5 minutes. You can see the last data point is 1725, and this is 1729, and I can see the percentage of CPU is around 23. Right now we have not installed run the stress. We have installed the stress command, but we have not basically activated the stress command. Now in order to run the stress command, so that it basically kind of increases the CPU utilization by running multiple processes in the back end, and that we would do for a certain limit of time, because the stress tool has already been installed. Now let's run a command to increase the CPU utilization manually. So the command would be I would show you here. The command is basically sudo. I think, yeah, this is gone, so I'll have to what close this and open a new PowerShell and connect to my EC2 instance again. Yeah, so the command is basically stress. So that would be sudo stress and then hyphen CPU, then 10 hyphen v, and then the timeout we would keep as say 400 seconds. Okay, so that would be roughly around 4 minute and 40 seconds, right? No, 5 minutes and 46. Yeah, 5 minutes and 46. This command will monitor the process created by the stress tool, which we triggered manually right now after entering. And the timeout I have kept it as 5 minutes, and so there is some issue. Okay, timeout. I think the timeout keyword. I'm missing a hyphen here. Okay, now this is started. So what I do is I will go and open another PowerShell window and again SSH to this same and have the top command running, and that's way you can see the utilization, right? CPU is 100%. Now you will have to wait for the Cloudwatch to. Now this is the alarm, but it's not in alarm. Okay, let's wait, because after some time what would happen is the CPU utilization is going to go up more than 100%, right? I mean up till 100%, not more than 100%. So we will have to wait for the next data point, which would come in the next 5 minutes, and you would see that I mean here also already I can see this, right? But for the monitor to catch it, it takes 5 minutes, right? Okay, so you can see this has crossed, so that means my alarms is in alarm now. Should be in alarm. I think that is already gone there. So if I go to the instance, this should be terminated now. Any moment the action will be taken. Yeah, you can see here. If I go here, okay, it will take some time and this should trigger this. Actions enabled. So I can see now it's in alarm. Demo, this is in alarm. We'll go to the actions. The actions is termination of this and then send message to the topic, this one, right? So if I go to the history, I can see what actually happened. So this went from insufficient to okay. So there was a switch and then insufficient to in alarm, and then the action was taken, executed, and then it has terminated. So if I go to my EC2 instance, now it's running, right? If I just refresh it, it's not there because I have done a filter. I'll clear this, and if you see on the EC2 monitor, this one is the one that we had. It's terminated now automatically, right? This takes some time, but it does take in effect, right? Now also I should have an email notification. This also takes some time, but it would ultimately send an email, right? So that is how the alarms alarms work inside the Cloudwatch. Now remember to delete all these alarms. So you go here and delete the alarm, and also remember to delete your SNS topic. So if I go to SNS here, and I will go to the topics, and I'll delete this topic, and it says to type in delete me. I'll just copy paste this and delete it. So the topic has been deleted, and also the subscription will go off because of that. Yeah, I can go and delete all these events as well, but I'll just let it be there. And the EC2 instance is already terminated, right? So you can see it will go off after a while. So this is it for the Cloudwatch alarms. Hope you understood this. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.